So now, MNCs, as you can see from from the page 2 here. So MNCs rely on capital to finance their expansion of existing subsidiaries, or the creations of new subsidiaries. So meaning that the existing one to expand, or to create a new one, to establish a new one, and other projects. Yeah. So meaning to say that, hence we can say that there is a need for MNCs to determine the cost of capital, because of it is an important, so-called like important components for business evaluation work. Because at the end of the day, when you know the cost of capital of that certain firm, then you can use as the indicator to help the firm, yeah, as a financial manager, to determine whether should we implement this project or not, okay, whether it exceeds our cost of capital or otherwise. Yeah, this is what I meant by business valuation work. So in general, MNC can increase its capital by debt or by debt or equity, or use a combinations of these two. Yeah. So equity, retained earnings, and fund obtained by issuing stocks. Meanwhile, debt is what we call borrowed fund. So it could be from issues debt or borrowed loan. Yeah. Next, common sources of equity, as you can see in this diagram. Yeah, can come from the internal capital by retained earnings, as you can see on your left, the blue color, or externally by issuing stock in their home country. Yeah, as you can see on your left, equity. Okay, and then under equity we have retained earnings and also stocks. This one, yeah, retained earning and also stocks. In their home country or in foreign country where they are spending. So it could be issue stocks in your home country or in the host country. Yeah. However, meanwhile, for that on your right, yeah, take a look at your right, the second yellow on your right. Okay, as you can see that MSC can engage in a domestic or global bond offering or borrow fund from financial institution. So you can see also split to two, bond and also loan. For bond, okay, same thing as stocks, so do the loan. It could be domestic, okay, in the home country, or internationally, okay, meaning to say outside of the country. So the question here is, what is the cost of capital to raise these funds? For example, as I mentioned just now, firm's capital can come from equity or debt, or the combinations of both. Next. So this one, I think you are year 3 student. By right, I think it's not an issue for you to understand this. However, since this is in the slide, and I think we can discuss in simple manner. Yeah. So as you can see for this one, yeah, number one, yeah, external source of equity. So since we can consider the equity financing, so we can consider the following sources. So the first one is domestic equity offering. So as you can see here, MNCs can engage in a domestic equity offering in their home country, in which these funds are denominated in local currency. Yeah, so they may distribute so-called a portion of the proceeds to their subsidiaries. Yeah, so number two, global equity offering. So big global equity offering. MNCs can pursue a global equity offering in which they can simultaneously access equity from multiple countries. Yeah, it must outside of home country, for example, Malaysian firm outside of Malaysia. Okay, it can issue somewhere else to one another country or to multiple countries. For example, as I mentioned, Malaysians or US-based MNCs. Okay, just randomly give an example. Okay, can sell portions of global stock offering in dominated in Japanese yen. For example, this American firm, yeah, this base MNC, yeah, in the US. Okay, issue stocks offering in denominated Japanese yen, and the proceeds of these portions are used to support operation by its Japanese subsidiary. Okay, so why they do that? So in this case, okay, this stock, as you can, as I mentioned earlier on, yeah. So this stock is placed with Japanese investors, so-called like who can easily sell the stocks in the future because it is listed in Japanese stock exchange. Yeah, so it's easy. For example, you have you have or this firm, okay, this MNE or MNC has a subsidiary in Japan. This American MNC has subsidiaries in Japan, so they can issue stocks in Japan, okay, to support the business in Japan. Yeah, so this is, I mean, one of the reason, okay, to ease the financing, or to get the sources of their business in other foreign countries. And third one, private placement of equity. Okay, offer a private placement of equity to financial institutions in their home country or in the foreign country where they are expanding. Yeah. So you know private placement and global. Global, as you know that they issue globally, I mean they issue to the public. Meanwhile, private placement to a specific group or specific investors or specific financial institution. Number two, okay, and then when MNCs consider debt financing, they can consider the following sources. So as you can see, we have A, B, C, and D here. So number one, domestic bond offering. So as you can see, engage in domestic bond offering in their home country in which the funds are denominated in local currencies. Yeah. So these proceeds of the domestic bond offering are initially denominated in the parent's local currency. Domestic bond offering. So denominated in parent's currency. So meaning to say that if the parents plan to use the portions of this proceed to provide financing in their foreign subsidiary, it would need to convert the fund into subsidiaries' local currency at the prevailing exchange rates. Yeah, so meaning to say that it involves a risk here that we can call exchange rate risk. Yeah. However, okay, if that is an issue, especially during the economic performance is not that encouraging. Okay, alternatively, number two, it can issue the global bond offering. And MNC so-called like an engaged bond offering, as you can see from the notes, in which they are simultaneously sell bonds denominated in the currencies in the multiple countries. Okay, seems like as equity just now, we have private placement for bonds, which it offers a private placement of bond to financial institution, okay, or any other specific investors in their home country or in the foreign country where they are expanding. And last one, is it last one? Let's see. Yes, it is. Okay, loan from financial institutions, meaning to say that an MNC commonly borrows funds from financial institutions. So it is not only benefit from access to fund, but also establish a business relationship with the financial institutions by giving it access to other services such as foreign exchange and also cash management. Okay. So that's why sometimes MNCs favor to place or to borrow from financial institution. Okay, because they want to establish a rapport, a good relationship, so it will benefit them in the future if they need the assistance or they need any business, okay, or to expand, and then they need help in terms of assistance or financing. So that's why even though loans from financial institution can so called like an obligation, but at the same time it can be good build rapport that can benefit the future assessment of future transaction. So now, MNC's capital structure decisions involve the choice of debt versus equity financing within all of its subsidiaries, yeah, class. So um, the advantage now we learned about equity and also debt. Yeah. So the advantage of using debt as opposed to equity, okay, vary with the corporate characteristic specific to each MNCs and specific to the countries where the MNC has established a subsidiary. Okay, in what way debt is better over equity? In what situation that equity is better over debt? Yeah. So there are a few characteristics involved. So the following characteristic, yeah, unique to each host country that can influence the MNC choice whether to choose debt versus equity financing. Yeah, so I have a few to be. It's not limited to this current country characteristic, but I explain 5 factors. Yeah, so the first one is stock restrictions in the host country. By the way, is there um, any question? Let me see the chat box. Chat box. Okay, no question. I have 98 students, but it's just like only 55 are joining. So I'm not sure. Why don't while you are here, maybe you can text your friend. Just maybe they don't even read the announcement yet. Yeah, please help me to do that. Because last time Microsoft Team, it had the announcement that important, urgent, that kind of icon, but no long I don't have that anymore. So that's why I'm not, if important they will pop up every like 15 minutes or maybe 5 minutes the notification, but I don't see that anymore. So that's why I cannot set that. Yeah, so I really hope that maybe you can inform your friend. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the first one. Stock restriction in the host country. So investment or okay, I read the first point for this investment opportunity for foreign investor. Investors may be limited due to the host government's restriction to invest in local stocks. Yeah. However, okay, by having a subsidiary in countries where investors have less investment opportunities, meaning to say that they are less active in active markets or less accessible or high restricted investment type of that restriction by the host governments. Yeah, so MNC may be able to issue equity at lower cost to fund its operation. Yeah, and number two, it depending on the interest rate in the host country. Okay, when we talk about the interest rate, which one is better? High interest or low interest? When it comes to obligation versus investment. Okay, for investment, of course, that we learned before, isn't it? About the interest rate, where I asked you before to look from the perspective of borrowing cost from the local perspective or investment return or investment perspective from the foreign investors. So in this case, when it comes to interest rate from borrowed fund, so this kind of obligation So we prefer lower interest. Okay, I mean this kind of, it's quite common lah for us to have this kind of perception. So the price of loanable fund, the interest can vary across countries. So it depends. There are many factors that can contribute to this factor. Why this country, the interest rate is low? Why another country, country B, the interest rate is high? Yeah. So MNCs may be able to obtain this loanable fund at relatively low cost in a specific country, as I mentioned, while another country might be high. Okay, so that's the first point. Um, MNC's preference, yeah, depends on availability of loanable fund at a cheaper rate in the foreign currency of their operation. So if the cost of fund in the subsidiary country appear excessive, okay, meaning that too high, than what we expected for example, I mean, like for that particular country, that where the subsidy, where the parents have its foreign subsidy in that particular country. Okay, it as appeared to be excessive. So the parents felt, okay, solution or alternative, not solution, it's wrong to say that, I mean, alternatively, it can consider, okay, the parents, yeah, may use its own equity to support projects implemented by the subsidiary. Yeah, so this is one of the alternative. Second alternative, number second, yeah, now go for a third one. The tax law in the host countries. Foreign subsidiaries, yeah, of MNCs may be subject to a withholding tax when they remit earnings. Okay, for example, if the foreign subsidiary wants or needs to remit back the earnings of their business back to the parent firm's country, and then this host government, where the foreign subsidiary is located, imposed, okay, imposed high withholding tax of that amount of their remitted earnings. So it might distort their actions, yeah, because perhaps that maybe the tax is very high. Now it become the high expenses to them. So if that's the case, yeah, using local debt instead of relying on parents' financing, that will make interest payment on the local debt that should reduce the amount to be remitted periodically. So, meaning to say, what I'm trying to say here is that subsidiary reduces the parents' withholding taxes, okay, by using more local debt financing, especially when the tax is high. So, alternatively, if the remit tax is very high. So, alternatively, okay, one of the considerations is to apply loan from the host government. So, sorry, the host country. I mean, borrowed borrowed loan from the host country's banks, financial institutions. I mean, yeah. So, in order to avoid this high tax. Okay, number 4, strength of host country currencies. So if, yeah, MNC is concerned about there is the potential weaknesses of the currencies in the subsidiaries host countries. For example, a Malaysian firm, a parent's firm, yeah, it has subsidiary in Thailand or maybe in Indonesia, and then this Malaysian parent firm is quite concerned about the fluctuations of Thai baht and Indonesian rupiah, okay, against Malaysian ringgit. It may instruct the subsidiary. So alternative, yeah, if this is the concern, Okay, MNC may instruct this subsidiary to finance a large proportions of their operation by borrowing in those currency instead of relying on parent financing. Yeah, so we can say that in this way, the subsidiary will remain a smaller amount in earnings because they will be making interest payment on the local debt. Yeah, so this strategy, okay, reduces the MNC exposed to the exchange rate risk. Well, yeah, if you can see here, if the parent believes that subsidiaries of local currency will appreciate, second point, I mean the last point here, yeah, the last bullet here, against the parent's currency, that it may have the subsidiary retain and reinvest more on its earning. So what is the result of this? The subsidiary will reduce its reliance on the local debt financing. So it depends on the expectations of the host country currency, whether it's expected to depreciate or expected to appreciate. Yeah. So either subsidiary to borrow or subsidiary to retain and reinvest its earnings. Number 5, the last one. Is it the last one? Yes, it is. Host, sorry, yeah, correct. Host country. The country is in host countries. So to reduce the risk of that the host governments might confiscate its assets, yeah. So this is what we call negotiating power. Okay, you can write somewhere in the pink one here. Okay, you can write negotiating power. This one also negotiating power. Firstly, use debt financing in the host country. Yeah, so local creditors that have lent fund will ensure that the subsidiary is treated fairly, yeah, okay, by the host government and will negotiate if needed. Because if the host government imposes high restrictions or penalty to the foreign subsidiaries, to the point the subsidy will affect, okay, the capability of the foreign subsidiary to pay back to this bank, then, okay, in fact, the bank or the financial institution will get nothing from that. So we can say, or we can appoint the role of these financial institutions as the negotiating power, to negotiate, to be a middle, okay, to negotiate, to get to go to the its government by saying that do not impose this, okay, high restrictions on the foreign subsidiary because they have an obligations to pay to this bank. So you can see that, yeah. So do the second one, okay, issue stock in the host country, having the local investor as you can see here, as in shareholders in the subsidiary serve as you see protections against threat of adverse actions by the host government, again as the negotiating power. So these investors, okay, they could pressure the local government to refrain from imposing excessive taxes or restrictions or penalty to the foreign subsidiary, to the subsidiary, okay, or I would say that constraint, okay, that would lower the profit of the subsidiary, that could affect the cash flow, and eventually the investor, so do the financial institution, will get nothing or benefit from it. So that's why this, even though it's considered as an obligation, but at the same time it can secure, not to say totally secured, but it can secure um, their place in these foreign countries. Yeah, because if you have a certain engagement in the local institutions or local investors, so you can see that their importance in that particular economics, okay, in economic infrastructure of this country. So then you have, in addition, of the country characteristics. Okay, we have this corporate characteristic. If country characteristic more on like bigger picture, okay, from macro perspective, but corporate characteristic more like internal or specific. Yeah, and we have 5 as well. Let me see. Yes, it is. We have 5 as well. So let's take a look at the following characteristic unique to each MNCs. Yeah, that can influence its capital structure. So several firm-specific characteristics that are known to affect the MNC capital structure, and then they are, we have 5 as I mentioned earlier on, and then the first one is cash flow stability. Yeah, so MNCs with more stable cash flows can handle more debt because of the financial strength that they have. Yeah, this is a constant because they have this constant stream of cash inflows to cover predict interest payment on debt. However, the opposite, yeah, MNC with erratic cash flows, meaning that not consistent. In this particular month, they're able to generate sales. Next month, better. But suddenly third month, getting lesser and lesser months by months. So this is what we call erratic cash flows. Yeah. So if this kind of MNCs, okay, they may prefer less debt because they are not assured of generating enough cash in each period to make larger interest payments on debt, because you know that regardless whether you have excess cash or you have steady cash flow or not, obligation, loan, yeah, that these obligations you have to fulfill. You have to pay on time, regardless whether you have money or not. I mean, so do in from the perspective of personal finance. Okay, for example, you have hire purchase, mortgage loan, hire purchase loan. Regardless whether suddenly this month something has happened to the point that you're not able to pay both. Bank, yeah, they still want the installment, regardless whether you have cash or not. So same thing with this. So if this is the case, yeah, so perhaps that they prefer less debt, yeah, to make, because they are not sure or they are not in the positions to ensure of generating enough cash. Second, credit risk. Yeah, credit risk means that default. Yeah, default. MNCs that have lower credit, meaning risk of default on loan or provided by creditors, yeah, have more access to credit. So MNC with assets that serve as acceptable collateral, meaning that such as buildings, trucks, or adaptable machinery that can be used, okay, or pledged as a collateral, okay, can more easily secure loan and so may prefer emphasis on debt financing. Yeah. However, in contrast, MNCs with assets that do not serve as adequate collateral, not sufficient enough, or not in the characteristic that can be pledged as collateral, may need to use higher proportions of equity financing instead. So it depends on the credit risk. Yeah. Next. By the way, let me check in the chat box. Is there any questions so far? Is it okay so far, class? Is there any question? Angkain? Aita Chan, yes, okay, no question. All right, so I proceed. So far, it's quite, not to say common sense, is that it's quite easy to understand, isn't it? It's just something that you can think of. Yeah. So if no, then I proceed to the oh sorry, hold on, find it already. That's it. Number 3. Growth opportunity. Last time we labeled as the access to written earnings, but I just follow from the previous lecture. Then they replace the access to written earning to growth opportunities. Yeah. So highly profitable MNCs may be able to finance most of their investment with written earnings, and therefore I would say that use equity intensive capital structure. Yeah. So MNC that, however, yeah, MNC that generate small level of earning may rely on debt financing. So this depends on the growth of this MNC, yeah, or we call it growth-oriented MNCs. So these growth-oriented MNCs may commonly need more fund because they are still like developing stage. Yeah. So they need more fund that can be accessed from written earnings. So they tend to rely on debt financing. Okay, they need more. They need to develop more. Okay, as I mentioned, that developing stage. So they need and more funding. So because of that, a written earning is quite important. So instead of using their written earning, they tend to rely on debt financing. In contrast, MNCs with less growth, yeah, may be able to rely on written earnings, meaning this is quite developed type of so-called like MNCs, yeah. Maybe rely on written earnings rather than debt from debt. Number 4, guarantees on debt. So if the parent backs the debt of its subsidiary, then subsidiary's borrowing capacity should be increased. Okay, less equity financing. Yeah. In the same time, however, yeah, the parents' borrowing capacity might be reduced because creditors will be less willing to provide funds to the parents if those funds might be needed to rescue the subsidiaries. So it depends on the so-called like the guarantees of debt. Yeah. Next, agency problems. As you know, the agency problems, the so-called like that create agency conflicts. Yeah. So if a subsidiary in the foreign currency cannot easily be monitored, it's so hard or it's quite difficult to monitor from the parent's perspective. Okay, or from by the investors from the parent's country, then agency costs could be higher. And remember, to solve agency problems, okay, involve high costs. So that's why they really have to consider this. Yeah. So if this is the case, the parents may induce the subsidiary to rely more on debt financing because this will force the subsidiary to discipline in order to cover its credit loan payment. Yeah. So it's hard if it is hard to monitor from the perspective from the side of the parents country, so they might insist the subsidiary to rely more debt financing. Yeah. So now, cost of capital. This one pretty basic actually, class. Um, you know that it's related to WECC. So you have from the global perspective, domestic perspective, because beta might be different from domestic versus international. Yeah. So cost of capital is defined as the minimum rate of return an investment project must generate in order to pay its financing costs. Yeah. So because of MNCs represent its debt and its equity, its cost of capital is based on its cost of debt and cost of equity. So let's go to the cost of equity first. So we go for A, as you know that for we have that cost of equity and then cost of debt. So let's go to the first one, cost of equity. So actually you learned this already multiple times. You starting from you learned this in financial management in your year 1. Okay, Barat, you should. I mean, it's pretty basic. What I'm mentioning here about the WCC is pretty basic, yeah. So a firm creates a cost of equity by retaining earnings. I mean, from you realize that in the reports they have this profit, yeah, profit of the year. So the firm has options whether to retain the profit or to issue dividends or the combinations of both. So if they decide to retain certain portion, so this is what we call retained earning, yeah, or by issuing new stocks. The most widely accepted method of calculating cost of equity, yeah, class, for a firm today is through CAPM, CAPM. Some mentioned CAPM, some mentioned CAPM. So I'm quite familiar with CAPM. Yeah. So what is CAPM? CAPM is used to access how the required rate of return of MNCs differ from those of purely domestic firms. Yeah. So it defines the cost of equity to be sum of risk-free rate plus, okay, plus risk premium. This three is what we call risk premium. Okay, beta times Rm minus Rf. If Rm minus Rf alone, we call it market risk premium. Yeah. So as I mentioned here, plus, okay, risk-free rate first, risk-free rate, and then you plus with risk premium, where risk premium consists beta multiplied by return of the market portfolio minus risk rate. Yeah. So this is the formula. I'm pretty sure that all of you are familiar with this. So let's talk about the component. One of the component. Okay, one of the component. Okay, and the CAPM is beta. So beta, the key component, okay, in CAPM is to measure the systematic risk. Yeah. So systematic risk is a measure of how the firm's return vary from those of the market in which it trades. Yeah. What is systematic risk? Okay, to measure systematic risk through beta. What is beta? To measure the sensitivity of the stock return of the market return, meaning the slope. Yeah, the slope of that line. So again, what is systematic risk? That cannot be eliminated away through portfolio diversification. So I'm not going to proceed, so detailed about systematic risk and unsystematic risk, because remember in chapter 1 under shareholders wealth maximization, SWM. Remember chapter 1 we have corporate wealth maximization versus shareholders wealth maximization. We already discussed about this systematic risk and unsystematic risk, and I don't think that I don't have to explain twice in details. But in surface, yes, I can explain that. So the total risk, okay, equal to diversifiable risk plus market risk. Okay, so market is something that you cannot eliminate away, regardless how many financial assets that you add in your portfolio, you still face this risk. So meaning to say, if you still face the same risk, which means you face market risk or systematic risk, even though we build from our understanding that by having this portfolio diversification, we can reduce risk. Yes, to the certain point. If you're able to reduce, this is what we call that we're able to reduce the unsystematic risk. But if you add up more financial assets, but still you face the same risk, okay, then meaning to say systematic risk. So just remember that. Okay, so beta less than 1, returns are less volatile than the market, equal to 1, returns are the same as the market. RM, remember the symbol of RM that just now on the beta. Okay, and the beta is greater than 1.0, return are more volatile to markets. For example, the beta is 1.2, so meaning to say more, yeah, more than 1.2, meaning that returns of these individual stocks, yeah, is more sensitive 20% more than the market, more volatile by 20%. Yeah, if the beta is 1.2, because market we set as 1.0. Yeah, so I mean this example. So the second formula to calculate the cost of equity by using the constant growth or Gordon model. Yeah, so three variables are included, as you can see here. Yeah, in the Gordon model formula. So as you can see, D1, the expected annual dividend per share for the following year. So the expected dividend, yeah. Number two, P. So what is P? The price. And 3 is G, that the expected dividend growth rate. So as you can see, I give you two formulas. Yeah, one with P, the other one NP, but the rest is the same. You can say the first formula on your left, we have D1 on top. So do on your right section, still we have T1 on top. Yeah, the difference is after below that D1 is P versus NP. Yeah, it's quite similar, I would say, except the expected return of return earning does not include flotation costs. Okay, however, for the expected rate of return on the common stock involve flotation costs, because when a firm issues new common stock, they also have to pay flotation costs, right? To the underwriter. So moreover, I am let me put a better words here. Okay, when flotation costs are involved, yeah, so meaning to say that retained earnings have lower costs than new common stocks, because flotation costs involve two. First, admin cost. Second, underwriting cost. Admin cost means that legal costs, anything associated with the issuing the stocks, yeah, the legal costs, printing, and so on, documentation costs, the admin costs. Yeah, so since for return earning, it does not involve this extra cost. Yeah, so that's why when we compare this, P without flotation and P with flotation, and P stand for net price after you minus the P minus with the flotation. So that's what we mentioned here. Okay, return earnings have lower cost than new common stock because it does not involve flotation costs when calculating by using this Gordon model. Okay, the second component is cost of debt. Okay, the normal procedures of measuring the cost at class of debt is before tax. Cost of debt is adjusted for corporate income tax by multiplying it, okay, by the tax bracket to obtain the after-tax cost of debt. Okay, so KD without the star before tax cost of debt. Yeah, to get KD star after tax cost of debt. Okay, so before tax cost of debt times with 1 minus tax rate. Okay, why we have to involve tax here, but not when we calculating the cost of equity? Yeah, so this is because the interest payments on debts are tax deductible. The interest payment that you pay to the bank, or the interest of the coupon payment that you pay to the bondholders, okay, they are tax deductible. Now, after knowing that we have two, okay, cost of equity and cost of debt, so the firm then can calculate the weighted average cost of capital, WACC, by combining the cost of equity with the cost of debt in the proportion to the relative weight of each in the firm optimal long-term financial structure. Yeah. So financial managers are ethically bound to only invest in the project where, okay, project rate of return is greater than the cost of capital because it can increase the value of the firm. Okay, so this is what we call, maybe I can add here. Accept. And then the second one, you reject. Okay, when you reject when the project rate of return is less than the cost of capital or WACC. Yeah, so because it will reduce or decrease the value of the firm. Okay, so more specifically, the weighted cost of equity plus weighted cost of debt. So you can see here, this is what we call proportion. Okay, this is what we call the proportion. So the weightage of the after-tax cost of debt and then the weightage of the cost of equity. Yeah. So for cost of equity, it depends, yeah, class, whether we ask you to calculate by assuming it's returns earning or the firm issues the common stocks. So when you combine this one is represent the WACC, yeah, class. So now assume, come on, yeah. Assume Maria Gonzalez is the financial manager of MNC that she needs to calculate the WACC of the firm. Yeah. So first step is to calculate the cost of equity. From the information, okay, you can read, yeah. From the information, the risk-free rate is 3.6%, beta 1.05, and the return on the market portfolio is 9%. Okay, so risk-free rate 3.6, beta 1.0, and then the market portfolio 9%. Okay, so substitute these figures into the CAPM. So it depends. We want to use the Gordon model or CAPM. It depends on the information. If the information give you D1 or the DO, it give you the price and then give you the growth rate, definitely that you need to choose the Gordon model to estimate the cost of equity. But in this case, we give you risk-free rate, as simple as that, yeah, risk-free rate, and then we give you beta. So definitely you need to use CAPM. So it's not hard to distinguish which formula, since we have like to calculate equity, we have like Gordon model versus CAPM, right? So now substitute these figures that we have just now, 3.6 risk-free rate, beta 1.05, and then RM we have 9%. Okay, into the CAPM formula, and we get the cost of equity is 9.27%. After that, yeah, we calculate cost of debt. So cost of debt after tax cost of debt times 1 minus tax. So before tax 8, 1 minus T, so 1 minus 0.35. You multiply these two, then you get 5.2. Okay, so after you get step 1, then step 2, followed by step 3 to calculate WACC. So the firm capital structure is 30%, and then debt is 70%. Okay, which come from equity. We don't even mention it here, is it right? Yeah, okay, but just assume, okay, the firm capital structure is 30% debt, okay, which means the other 70% comes from equity. So usually the combinations of both proportion represent the total market value. So 30% plus 70% should be 100% or equal to 1. So this one is like so-called simple, like probability, the concept probability. When you add up, it must be 1.0 that represent 100% proportion. Yeah. So Lagos CC is then 0.35 multiplied by the cost of debt plus with 0.75 multiplied by 9.27% cost of equity. This brings the answer of 8.05%. Okay, so these three 30% and 70%, you can add somewhere else, let's just assume. Yeah. So now, after we calculate the WCC, what can we do next with this figure or this answer, which is 5.05? Actually, it can work as a benchmark for evaluating new projects. Okay, if the project's IRR, internal rate of return, is less than WCC, the project will be rejected and vice versa. So in this case, which project should Maria choose? Any answer, class? Which project should Maria choose? Any other answer? A or B? Very simple, yes, Wong Boon Kee. We should accept B. Why is that? Okay, because 11.12 obviously is higher than 5.05, meaning to say that internal rate of equity of project B is higher than the firm's cost. Meanwhile, for A, yeah, for A, it's below 8.05%. It's just only 5.6, 7.6. Sorry, slip of tongue. Yeah, so which is less than the cost. So it's not worth to implement project A. Instead, we choose project B. So now, let's talk about the cost capital, MNC versus domestic firms. Okay, hold on, give me 30 seconds, please. Okay, next is about the cost of capital. Okay, MNC versus domestic firms. The cost of capital for MNCs may be different than the domestic firm because of the following characteristic that we're about to discuss now, that distinguish between MNCs from domestic firms. Number one is size of firms. Yeah. Okay, so since MNCs, okay, that often borrows substantial amounts may receive preferential treatments from creditors, thereby reducing its cost of capital. Yeah. So why is that? Because MNCs may more easily achieve growth. They may be more able to so-called able than purely domestic firms to become large enough to receive preferential treatments from creditors. Yeah. So the bigger the size, the easier they will get. Yeah. Number two, access to international capital markets. MNCs are normally able to obtain funds okay, through international capital markets. Since since the cost of fund, okay, can vary among markets, it's different, yeah. MNCs access to the international capital markets maybe allow it to obtain more funds on the lower cost than that paid by domestic firm. In addition, I would like to add, yeah, subsidiaries may be able to obtain funds locally at lower costs than available to the parents in the prevailing interest rate in the host country that are relatively low. Yeah. So now the third one is international diversification. If a firm, okay, if a firm's cash flows comes from sources all over the world, okay, from, for example, from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Mexico, from the United States, okay, those cash flows may be more stable because the firm's total sales will not be strongly influenced by a single economy, okay, because different countries, they have different characteristic or different financial performance that vary from one country to another country. So to the extent that the individual economies are independent of each other, yeah. So net cash flows from portfolio of subsidiaries should exhibit, maybe I would say that, less variability, yeah, which may reduce the probability of bankruptcy, therefore can reduce the cost of capital. Yeah, as you can see here, is offset by sales in other market. Next, exposure to exchange rate risk. MNC's cash flows could be more volatile than those of a domestic firm. As you know already, we discussed the reason why it could be that way. Yeah, in the same industry, if it highly exposed to the exchange rate risk. So if, yeah, we assume this, if foreign earnings are remitted to the US parents, for example, there will not be worth as much as when the home currency is strong against major currencies. Yeah, because it reduces the firm's ability to make interest payment on its outstanding debt, where increases the likelihood of the bankruptcy. So it depends on the exposure of the exchange rate risk between the parent's firm, okay, and those of this domestic firm. So then I would like to add as well. So MNC that is more exposed to the exchange rate fluctuation will usually have a wider or more dispersed, yeah, distributions of possibility that cash flows in the future period. So this could lead to the well, it could be creditors or maybe shareholders as well to require higher return, which would increase the MNC's cost of capital. Yeah. So the higher the risk, the higher demand of the investors and the creditor for their own return. For example, if I, as an investor, if I know it's highly risked, okay, high risk for me to invest, but if I want to invest, I will make sure the return is can compensate with the risk that I'm having here. So meaning to say that what the investor wants is the cost to the firm, and this cost we can translate to the cost of capital. Yeah. And the number 5, the exposure to the country risk. So MNC that establishes foreign subsidiary is subject to possibility that the host country governments may seize a subsidiary assets. Yeah. So this probability, such as occurrence, is influenced by many factors at class, including the industry in which MNCs operate and the or maybe I would say the attitude of the host country governments. Yeah. So the higher the percentage of MNC assets invested in the foreign countries, and the higher the overall country risk of operating in this country, so the higher the MNC's probability of the bankruptcy, meaning to say that therefore its cost of capital, other things begin, yeah, to subject by the country risk that imposes by the host government. So I already mentioned starting from the size, okay, great, until the exposed to the country risk. Yeah. So these five factors that distinguish the cost of capital for MNCs and the cost of the domestic firm in a particular industry are summarized as you can see in this exhibit. Yeah. So in general, yeah, class in general, the first three factors, larger size, access to the international capital markets, and international diversification, the first three, okay, have a favorable effect on the MNC's cost of capital. The larger the size, okay, the greater the international capital markets, and then the greater the international diversification. So this is called, we call that have favorable effect. Yeah. However, the last two factors, okay, the next two, this one, exposure to the exchange rate risk, the country risk, have an unfavorable effect. It is impossible to generalize, yeah, class. I mean, basically, I would say that all these factors, yeah, to generalize about whether MNC have an overall cost of capital advantage over the domestic. Okay, the best is MNC should be assessed separately to determine whether the net effect of this international operation on the cost of capital are favorable or not. Yeah. So next, now second. Okay, we finished the first part. The second part, financing with foreign currency. I mean the calculation side, yeah, class calculation side. So when MNC obtain short financing, they usually borrow the currency that matches their future cash flows. Remember, I'm starting from the last 2 weeks. I keep mentioning about this matching the cash flows, the asset and liability under the same currency or not. Okay, in order to reduce this, one of the way for you to minimize the risk. Okay, one of the so-called like operational um, hedging strategies. For example, okay, let's say if it has a net receivables position in foreign currencies, okay, then MNC may obtain a short-term loan in that foreign currency that it can access short-term fund and also hedge, okay, its receivables against the exchange risk. Okay, so as I mentioned, quite similar, isn't it? Okay, by matching the money market hedging that have and that we have and so forth. Yeah. So even MNCs or its subsidiary is not attempting to cover foreign receivables, it may also consider borrowing in foreign currency if the interest rate of the currency is relatively low. Okay, to enjoy this relatively low. But remember, instead of the interest rate is lower, another factor that you have to consider this exchange rate fluctuation. Yeah. As the interest rate vary among currency, the cost of borrowing can vary substantially among the countries as well. Yeah. So given this disparity interest rates among those currencies, yeah, or among those countries, MNC may naturally consider financing with a foreign currency that have lower interest, as higher interest incur higher cost of short-term financing. Yeah. So first, okay, we have EEFR, and also we have, like as you can see here, EAC. EAC is pretty simple. It does not involve the probability or joint probability. Yeah. So remember, actually, class, we have learned this. Is remember we have these tutorial questions. Walcott something. Remember the Belgium firm, and also the Malaysian subsidiary. We have this tutorial question. Excuse me. Okay, give it 30 seconds, please. Okay, sorry about that. Where is it? Okay, remember we have this Vulkan. Okay, in the tutorial, I think tutorial chapter 5, tutorial 6. Okay, but last time, during that time, I did not call that as EAC. But actually, this is what this is all about, yeah. So the actual effective annual cost EAC can be calculated. So EAC equal to repayment amount in home currency terms divided by principal amount in home currency terms, the power of 360 divided by T. Okay, so if we talk about monthly, so 12 over T, okay, minus 1, then you get the percentage of this effective annual cost. Okay, the lower the answer, if you are comparing with two percentages, the lower is better because lower cost. So this one is pretty basic class. This one pretty basic calculation. However, when it involves probability, then we have the second one, which is effective financing rate. So when MNCs borrow a currency that differs from its local currency, the actual cost of its financing will depend on number one, the interest rate charged by the bank providing the loan. Number two, the movement of the both currencies value over the life of the loan. So the actual or effective financing rate may differ from the quoted interest rate. Okay, this one is illustrated in the following example. So dear bond, hold on, yeah, give me a second. Dear bond, a US firm obtained a 1-year loan of New Zealand dollar 1 million at the quoted interest rate of 8%. And the exchange rate at the time is USD is 0.550 cent USD per New Zealand dollar. Okay, so 1 year later, the bond is about to pay back the loan. Of course, I mean, it's quite common that we know it already. Okay, they have to pay the interest payment together with the principal. Pay back the loan to be the assumption New Zealand dollar has appreciated. Okay, from 0.5 to 0.6 USD per New Zealand dollar. Okay, so meaning to say that because it convert from USD to New Zealand dollar, from New Zealand to USD, so it will affect the due bond cash flows due to this exchange rate differences between the current and also the futures for 1 year from now by the time you want to pay back. Yeah. So simple concept here. Okay, if EFR, the effective financing rate on the loan amount denominated in New Zealand dollar, can be computed as, so 1 plus interest rate of foreign currency, this one, yeah, okay, times with 1 plus percentage change in the spot rate, so this is what we call EF, minus 1 times 100. Okay, so I repeat one more time. Effective financing rate, okay, is equal to 1 plus interest rate of foreign currency times with 1 plus percentage change in the spot rate. Okay, then you minus 1 times 100. So this is the simple calculation as a first step. Yeah. First, okay, from the formula, it requires you to determine the percentage change in the spot rate. Okay, as no information on how many percentage New Zealand has appreciated, yeah, you have to calculate on your own. Okay, please note that from the currency quotation, New Zealand dollar is as denominator. Yeah, so the formula capture to the appreciations of New Zealand dollar is, remember we learned this in from chapter 4. Yeah, so remember, if denominator, then ending rate minus beginning rate divided by beginning rate. If numerator, beginning rate minus ending rate divided by ending rate. Yeah, so in this case, since New Zealand dollar as denominator, so we use the formula. So ending rate minus with beginning rate divided by the beginning rate times 100, then you will get 20%. So you learned this in chapter 4, yeah? Don't tell me that this is your first time seeing this. So we can say from this figure, we can say that New Zealand dollar appreciated from the USD 0.5 to USD 0.6 by 20% over the life of the loan. So next, you calculate the EFR of the New Zealand dollar. Okay, from the formula that you that we have discussed in slide 27. So we apply this. Okay, once you get the EF, okay, first you calculate EF. Once you get, because it's not given in the questions, you have to calculate on your own. Once you get EF, then substitute the EF to here, 1 plus here. Okay, so 1.08 times 1.02 minus 1 times 100, then you get 29.6%. Okay, so you can see a class from this, actually the interest rate is 8%. Okay, in the US. But this one, effective financing rate, okay, in New Zealand dollar is 29.6. So you can see that we combined, okay, the loan and also the exchange rate differences. So you can see here, it's not only 8%, but you have to add another 20%. So you have to consider, even though the interest rate seems like quite low, but remember when you include the exchange rate, the differences. So actually it could be more than 8%. So that's why as a financial manager, you have to consider it wisely. So now, let me see. So in order to gain more insight about the financing decisions, yeah, so a firm may wish to develop a probability distribution. This is what I meant just now, probability distribution, yeah, from the percentage change in the value of a particular foreign currency over the lifespan of its financing. Okay, since forecasts are not always accurate, it is useful to develop a probability distribution instead of relying on the single point estimated like Dearborn example on the last page. Yeah. So assume this example, Carolina is deciding whether to maybe okay, you read first for 30 seconds, then after that I explain. Yeah. Okay, you read first. Okay, are you done? All right. So from this example, yeah. So Carolina is deciding whether to borrow in Swiss franc for 1 year. Okay, so the quoted interest rate for Swiss franc is 8%, and then the USD is 15%. So as the question involved the probability distribution, or we can call probability of occurrence, yeah, we have to calculate the expected EFR instead of single EFR that we learned from Dearborn just now. Yeah. So refer to the next slide. Okay, take the first row as example on how to understand it. Okay, never mind, I will explain that. You can refer to this. Okay, so back to Carolina example just now. Let's understand the first scenario. So I'm talking about the first scenario is this one. Okay, so I label the first scenario as first outcome for the financing. Yeah, so the first row shows that there is a 5% probability of 6% depreciation in Swiss franc over the loan's life. I repeat. Okay, there is a 5% probability of 6% depreciation in Swiss franc over the loan's life. Okay, so if the Swiss franc does depreciates by 6% at last, then EFR would be 1.52% that can be computed as you can see here. Okay, we refer back to we use this, yeah, this section. Okay, this section is from the one that we learned just now, from the formula in slide 27 that we apply again in slide 31. Okay, so how to calculate this? 1 plus interest rate of foreign currency, 8%, time with 1 plus percentage change in the spot rate, -6, because depreciates by 6%, yeah? So minus 1 times 100, then you will get 1.52%. Okay, let's try for the second scenario. Okay, second row. So we interpret, yeah, as there is a 10% probability of 4% depreciation in Swiss franc over the life of the loan. Okay, so 10% chance that 4 Swiss franc will depreciate by 4%. So by having all this information, we have I and then we have E, then we can calculate the EFR that would be 3.68%. Okay, so you do this for all 8 outcomes. Okay, to get 8 individual EFR. So you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, you have individual 1 until 8. Okay, because we have 8 occurrence or 8 outcomes. Yeah, so we get outcomes. So then is the step 1, yeah, class. Step 1, we have this. So step 2, based on the information, the expected EFR is computed in step 2. So this is once you have this single. So this one single, you have 8 answers. Then step 2. Okay, step 2, probability of occurrence 1. This one, yeah, I'm talking about this. I want to highlight this so you can see better. Yeah, this one. Okay, the first one, probability of occurrence 1 times with EFR for outcome 1. Okay, so I repeat one more time. So probability of occurrence 1 times EFR for outcome 1. So I extra highlight so this one. Okay, so then plus with second probability of occurrence 2 times with EFR for outcome 2 and so on. until you do that until 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so this one you get from this. How to get 5%? 5% probability of occurrence. Okay, and then repeat for second one. For example, probability of occurrence 10%. So you get 0.1. And then the EFR from the second one to 3.68. And then do you the rest, and then you total up. Okay, so this will bring the answer of 10.54%. Yeah. So the decisions for Carolina is whether to borrow USD at 5% interest or Swiss franc with the expected value of 10.54% for the effective financing rate. So as you can see, a class, borrowing in Swiss franc is relatively low than in the USD. Yeah, so far based on our calculation, 5% USD, okay, and then Swiss franc 10.54%. Obviously, so far 10.54% is better. Okay, borrowed outside the country is better than borrowed domestically. So now, although foreign financing can result so-called insignificantly lower financing costs, the variance of foreign financing costs over time is higher. Yeah, so MNC may be able to achieve lower financing costs without excessive risk, yeah, by financing with a portfolio of foreign currencies, provided currency must be not highly correlated to each other. Yeah, so for example, you can see here Nevada needs to borrow USD 100K for 1 year and obtains the following interest rate codes. So you can see here 1 year interest rate for 1 year in USD is 15%, in Japanese yen 9%, and Swiss franc is 8%. First, you learn about Dearborn, and then you have Carolina, and then now you have Nevada. Yeah, first you have single, and then second you have outside. Okay, foreign. In the foreign country loaned, and then now multiple currencies, not single. Yeah. Since the quotes of a loan in Swiss franc and Japanese yen are relatively low, so Nevada may desire to borrow in the foreign currencies. Okay, so let's calculate the EEFR. Okay, expected effective financing rate. Just now you learned about EFR, effective financing rate. Now we have double E now. EFR, expected effective financing rate for every choice above. Yeah, so since now we have like 2 foreign currencies, just now only one. Okay, now we have Swiss franc and also Japanese yen. Okay, let's consider the Swiss franc first. Okay, based on the assumed interest rate of 8% of Swiss franc, and the EFR is computed for each outcome over the loan's life. Yeah, so EFR for outcome 1 is 9.08, and outcome 2 11.24, and outcome 3 17.72. Okay, meanwhile the lower section provides information on the Japanese yen. Okay, you do the same for Japanese yen, where we have to calculate the individual EFR that we learned early on for outcome 1, outcome 2, and outcome 3. Okay, namely we can see 7.91%, 12.27%, and 16.63%. Okay, respectively. Next is to determine the EEFR for each foreign currencies. Okay, so we can accomplish this by okay, like totaling the outcome and its associated with probability as follows, as you can see there. So probability of occurrence 1, okay, times with EFR for outcome 1. So you do the same just like Carolina just now, because this one is like EFR, yeah. So 30% times with 9.08, and then you have 0.5 times with 11.24, then 2.0 times with 17.72%. So total up, okay, then you will get 11.89%. And do the same, 0.35 times 7.91, 0.4, sorry, times with 12.275, and then 25%, yeah, or 0.25 times for times 16.63%. So total up all together, then you will get 11.83%. Okay, so based on this, we can say that EFR of these two currencies almost the same. But if you can choose which one is lower, if you really have to choose, definitely Japanese yen so far. Yeah, but definitely more or less quite the same, 11.89 and 11.83. But obviously in this case, Japanese yen is lower, yeah, even though it's almost the same. Now, so this one is no issue. You learned this before. Okay, the new thing here is this. Slide 35. Okay, so now consider the third and the final foreign currency strategies. Yeah, the portfolio approach. So at the first glance, it looks like, well, quite complicated. As you, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you might think that way. Yeah. It looks complicated, but basically it's not that difficult, class. Trust me. The to simplify the calculation, I split into 4 sections. Okay, as you can see, step 1, step 2, and then the middle one is step 3, and the last one is step 4. Okay, so let's learn how to calculate this. Okay, so step 1. Okay, as you can see, column 1 and column 1 and 2 list of all outcomes of EFR. Okay, so after you calculate the individual EFRs, and for Swiss franc and Japanese yen, you match the outcome for both currency like metric 3 by 3. Then you will get 9 pairs. Okay, how to get this, class? How to get this? Okay, let's go back to the previous slide. So maybe I'll label this. Okay, let me label this. I hope that I can. Hold on. Okay, so I label this as first currency as currency 1, okay, Swiss franc as currency 1, and currency 2, Japanese yen, as currency 2. Okay, so currency A, let me type this, 1A, and then it's to, no, maybe 2, okay, and then you have 1B, and then you have here 1C. Oops, maybe this one, never mind. I want to have a same space over here. 1C, can I? 1C. Okay, hopefully you can see that. And then, well, Japanese yen, currency number 2. Okay, scenario A, scenario B, and then scenario C. Okay, so I label 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C. So how come from this I can get 9 pairs? As you can see here, I get 9. I get 9. Okay, so first I label okay, so currency A with second currency A. Then, okay, currency A still 1A with 2B. Then I will get 1A and then 2C. What about fourth pair? Can someone check in the type box? Anyone? Can you see in the chat box? Type in the chat box. What about pair number 4? What should I write then? Anyone? What should I write? What should I write the currency for? What should I write for the first currency? I'm talking about pair 4. This one. What should I write? The pair. Okay, I have to. Okay, right. Thank you, Tang Yiling, Lim En Tong, and Tin Shu Li. Okay. What is the answer for this? Okay, I can see that. Okay, never mind. Now, since we finished about first currency A, but remember we have 1A, 1B, and 1C. Then the second one is, number 4 is about second scenario for currency 1. So 1B, and then 2A, then repeat the same process, 1B, and then you get 2B, 1B, 2C. Okay, and then the next one is 1C, 2A, 1C, 2B, and 1C, 2C. So that's how you pair. So altogether you have 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? Let me check. A, B, C, A, B, C. Okay, no typo. Right. Okay, so now I want to explain lexism in the first row for better understanding. Yeah. So this row indicates that outcome 1 for individual EFR for both Swiss franc and Japanese yen that exhibit that if R of 9.08 and 7.91 respectively. So we are talking about this step 1. Yeah. We call a possible joint EFR pair 1. So there's no calculation for this step. It's just the matching pairs until you can pass as I have done it just now. So step 2 is this section. Okay, most computations of portfolio EFR. Okay, based on the possible rates shown for individual currencies. Okay, so assuming that there is no information, okay, from the notes, but you can add that the for a 50% of funds needed to be borrowed from each currency, for example, like 50% weighted for Swiss franc and another 50% weighted for Japanese yen. So the weightage for the portfolio, yeah. So assume that 50-50 because there is no information in the question. So the portfolio EFR for pair 1 will be 0.5 times 9.08 plus 0.5 times 7.91%, then you will get 8.495%. Okay, and then you do the same. So first you pair, okay, just pair, no calculation involved. Then after that, assume this one 50% proportion, 50% proportion. So 50% of this, 50% of this. So 50% 1A, 50% 2A. Then you will get 8.495%. And then do the same, 50% 1A, 50% 2B. Then you will get step 2 for the second one. You get 10.675. Okay, and then do the rest for until you have all 9 answers for step 2. Okay, you do the similar procedure that used to develop the remaining 8 rows and the consistence like another 8 pairs. Yeah, so altogether you get 9. So then you have step 3. Step 3 is this one, the one in the middle. So the probability of Swiss franc EFR occurring 30% and the probability of Japanese yen occurring of 35%. So this one, another 1A, 2A, this you can see here, 1A, 2A, 1A, 2B, and then we have 1A, 2C, and so on. Yeah, so when you add this joint probability, make sure it must be 100%. If you do the joint probability, okay, and then when you total up to double check, and it's not 100%, then you know that your pair, okay, you do the pairing wrongly. Yeah. Okay, so recall these percentages were given in the questions. Okay, so let's understand the first part. So the joint, okay, I want to do the first one. So the joint probability for pair 1 that both of these rates will occur simultaneously, like 30% times 35%. So where you get this information? This one, same. 1A, so with the first pair is 1A to A, right? So 30% with 25%. Okay, second pair, 1A with 2B. So 30% times 40%. So double check, is it correct? Yes, 30% times 40%. And then do the rest. Another pair, yeah? So similar procedure, okay? Used to develop the remaining, another remaining rows, okay? Then lastly, currency portfolio step 4. Okay, step 4. From step 3 previously, we can say that pair 1 that there is a 10.5% chance that the portfolio's EFR will be 8.5%. Okay, where the pair 2 12% chance that it will be 10.68% and so on. Okay, so here there is a 10.5% chance that the portfolio FR will be 8.50. I rounded off from 3 decimal point to decimal point because I don't have enough space. Yeah, if I give 3 decimal points, the space. Yeah, so that's why I round it off. So compute the EFR of the portfolio joint probability from step 3 that is multiplied by EFR of the portfolio that we gathered from step 2. Okay, so you do this all 9 pairs and sum them up. Okay, sum them up. So you can get 11.87. Okay, so this one times this one, and then you have this section, and then 12% times with 10.678, or I round it off to 2 decimal point, and then this one, okay, times with this. Okay, do all these 9 pairs, and then you total up, then you will get 11.87%. Okay, so now we have this individual borrowed USD. You don't have to calculate because from the question 15%, and then this one from the EFR of the single currency. Okay, if only borrow in Swiss franc, the cost will be 11.89%. If borrow only in Japan, 11.83%. And then if you borrow the combinations of both Swiss franc, 50%, half of the, you allocate 50% from Japanese yen and 40% of the amount from Japanese yen. And then this is what we call portfolio for the combinations of both. Then you will get 11.87%. So obviously, to borrow In home currency, 50% is the most expensive financing cost. By borrowing in foreign currency, Nevada will be able to reduce its financing costs. Okay, so in this case, the choice to borrow in Japanese yen will be the cheapest among others. Yeah, so first, the cheapest, borrow in Japanese yen, and then portfolio, the combination with Swiss franc and also Japanese yen, followed by borrow in Swiss franc, and then the most expensive is borrow locally. Okay, so that is how you calculate the EEFR. So is there any question, class? No question? Okay, so since it's only one example or one exercise tutorial, okay, tutorial questions, yeah, so hold on. Let me share, oops, hold on, give me a second. Okay, so I'm sharing another exercise. So at least you have more than one line, yeah? Instead of only rely on the tutorial questions, now you have at least another one to consider as your part of exercises. Okay, so since we have time, yeah, class, we have time. So why not like, I will share you the template. I have the template. Okay, but I will give you the template so you can do it home lah, yeah. So anyway, hold on, let me adjust a few things from my side. Okay, so let's read this. Samosa considers obtaining 40% of its 1 year financing in Malaysian ringgit and 60% in pound sterling, British pound. Yeah? The forecast of appreciation in Malaysian ringgit and British pound for the next years are as follows. So you can see here what possible change in spot rate over the loan's life. And then you can see on your right, probability of the change in the spot rate occurring. Okay, and then you have, as I mentioned on top, you have two currencies to consider, Malaysian ringgit and British pound. Just now also we have Japanese yen and also Swiss franc. Am I right? The previous or from the notes. However, we give you 3 scenarios for each. Okay, that's why you have 9 pairs. But this one we have 2. So how many pairs that you will get then? 4 pairs lah, yeah? Because if 3 times 3 you get 9, so 2 times 2 then you get 4. So wherever you do the joint probability later on, you must get 4 pairs. Okay, like matrix 2 by 2. Yeah. So next, the interest rate of Malaysian ringgit is 5% and the interest rate of British pound is 4%. Calculate the expected effective financing rate for a currency portfolio that consists of Malaysian ringgit and British pound. So class, let me highlight you one more thing. If you see this question, you check first if the question asks you to calculate individual EFR or just right away portfolio. In this case, the question does not ask you to calculate EEFR for Malaysian ringgit or EEFR for British pound. The question asks you to calculate portfolio, so do not waste your time then to calculate for the extra words. Yeah. So if the notes just now we cram in one full table, yeah, one full table, and it's very cramped, and so that's why I split at least. Oops, okay, at least it's easy for you and more clearer, yeah, better picture. So first, remember what we need to have, what we need to calculate. We need to calculate the individual effective financing rate. Okay, now class, can you calculate based on this Malaysian ringgit scenario 1, Malaysian ringgit scenario 2, and British pound scenario 1 and British pound scenario 2? Calculate. I give you 2 minutes. Please calculate. How to calculate the individual effective rate? Effective financing rate, sorry about that. Okay. 1 plus, okay, I will show you one class. I will show you one and then you will do the rest. Okay. So Malaysian ringgit. So the first one, so I write it down. So 1 plus IF, 1 plus the interest rate. So let me do the color coded here. This one is this, the interest. And this one, EF, percentage change is this. Okay. This one, not this. Okay. Should be green color. Wrong color there. Okay, I will show you one and then I give you time for you to calculate the rest. Yeah. So now based on this, so 1 plus the interest of Malaysia. So Malaysia interest, okay, 5%. So 1 plus 5%, 1 plus 1.05. Okay, so maybe I compile, yeah, and then 1 plus the percentage change. So 1 plus the first scenario 4%. So 1 plus 40%. So 1.04. Close bracket. Then minus with 1, close bracket, and then times with 100. Then you will get 9.20%. Okay, can you do the scenario 2 for Malaysian ringgit and then scenario 1 for British pound and scenario 2 for British pound? Okay, I give you 1 minute each, so 3 minutes. And then you type the answer in the chat box. Yeah, if low respond, then I call up names. Yeah, so that's the only way for me to get or to know your participation. Yeah, so write in the chat box. If it's strong, it's strong, it's fine. It's a learning process, so no worries. Okay, so calculate then. And then did that 3, and then type in the chat box. Then if correct, then I will let you know. Yeah. Okay, 3 minutes from now. Oh, that is okay. That is pretty fast. Amazing. Ko Chi Seong, Lim En Tong, Tai Ling. Okay. Three of you get the same answers. Okay, let's check with mine. Oh, okay, absolutely correct. Very good. Okay, let me transfer the answer over here. So here, okay, I write it down one more time. Okay, thank you to three of you. So what happened to the rest? Okay, so this one is 7, right? And then this one minus 1, 5, 7. Then you will get here 12.35%. Okay, and again, now British pound. British pound, another one is this. Never mind, I will, so another second yellow. Okay, so this one is no longer 5% because the interest in British pound in the UK is 4. Okay, and then this one, the first one is 6%, so 0.6. 4, and then this one 9%, yeah, so 9. Then you will get 10.24. Very good, yeah. Oops, hold on, let me 24%. And then the last, alamak, I did I accidentally delete the answer for 3.5. Yes, correct. I think I repair the Malaysian ringgit. 7, not supposed to be. I have to write it again, class. Sorry about the hiccups. Okay, 5547. Okay, then this only for British pound. Or copy paste. Always like that. That's me. Okay, then 0.24%. Okay, a couple more time. So here. So 9. Then you will get 13. Yeah, in the correct boxes. Great. Okay, let me check. Wait, there is a typo. Yes, I'm about to say it. Clearly it's a typo. So let me check one more time. 4, 1.4. So 9.2, 12.35, 10.24, and then 13.36%. Okay, great. So next, as I mentioned just now, in the notes, the textbook compress everything in one table. I mean one illustration. But I split, yeah. I split because I want you to see, okay, the step by step. Yeah, but actually you still the same. You still get the same one. So next, okay, let's do, before we go for the green color here, the effective financing rate of the portfolio, let's do the pairing. Okay, first, oops, alamak, hold on. I forgot to put the, actually by right, I should do that, but I forgot to, obviously. Okay. So this one, maybe I put okay. First, 1A. What about this? 1B. Second currency, 2A. Okay, second currency scenario 1, and then second currency scenario B. Right? Okay, so now do the pairing. So now you have 2 by 2. So by right, you should have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, maybe I minimize it so I can, okay, you can see the whole thing. So remember, what is the first pair? 1A, 2B. Right? And then what else do you have? 1A, 1A to B, 1A to A, then 1A to B. Sorry, I keep writing in the wrong box. Okay, and what is the third pair? What should I write in the third pair? Anyone? I want to check one more time whether you still understand or not. Coach Seong, you want to try? What is the third pair? What should I write then? Or anyone? Yep. Shun Oking. Yes, it's very easy. Okay, actually it's quite impressive because some students still don't get it, but you get it right away. Awesome. Then you will get 1B. This is how I do the coding. Yeah, not to say coding lah, but to me I do the coding. Yeah, but in reality it's not like coding because coding considered like extravagant kind of words. Yeah, but this is how we do it, so easy for me to do later on when it comes to the joint probability. So 1A to A, 1B to A, and then 1B to B. Yeah, so A, B, B, to A, to B, to okay, yes. So once I get this, so 1A, so this is the one. Then I have 2B, then 1B. Yeah, copy 1B. So I write it here, 1B, 1B. So depends on the level. Okay, 2A is 10.24. Okay, so this is 2A. Where else? 2A. So here. All right, and then 2B, 13.36. Copy. This one, yes, 2B, and then this one, 2B. Then I got all the parents. Let me check. Okay, great. So next, so the question, can you see this W? Okay, W. Okay, I do the color coding here. W, Malaysian Ringgit, and British Pound. Oops. See. Okay, so where to get this blue highlight? The weightage. Can you see this? The weightage. Samosas considers obtaining 40% 1-year financing in Malaysian Ringgit and 60% pounds in sterling. So this is the W to represent the W. Okay, remember Malaysian Ringgit 40% and then pound sterling, British pound 60%. Okay, so go back to this. Then Malaysian 40%, so 0.4 0.4 times with okay, 2A okay plus with, remember British pound 60%, so 0.6 times 2A, first pair, second one in the first pair. Okay, you total up, then you will get 9.82%. Okay, so what about the second one? So I just copy here, then I will replace the information, so I don't have to write it down like that. You know that something is quite slow. So 0.4, 9.2, and 0.6, and then you just replace based on the information of 2B on the second pair. Yeah, here we are doing second pair, 0.36, and then you do the rest, and then this time you will get 11.70. Okay, so can you do the never mind, like okay, or you want to try first? I think it's quite pretty easy again. So then you will get 11.08%, and then you will get 12.96%. Okay, so let me check one more time. So 11.7, 11.7008. Okay, great. So now you have this, and then remember, we have another pair that we need to do. Okay, probability of outcome of, okay, and then probability of outcome for Japanese yen, exchange rate for Japanese yen. Okay, so now this one, remember 1A, 2A. So meaning to say that 1A, 2A. So 70 times 50%. So 770 times 0.5. Then you will get 0.35. Second pair, 1A, 2B. Okay, go back. 1A, 70%. 2B, 50%. Okay, it happened to be the same. Third pair, 1B, 2A. So 1B, 30%, 2A, 50%. Okay, I repeat. 1B times 2A, 30%, 50%. So 0.3 times 50%, then you will get 15%, or 0.5, yeah? So next one is 1B, 2B. 1B, 2B. Then you will get 15. So remember, when you total up 0.5 plus 0.35 plus 0.35 plus 1.1, 0.15 plus 0.15. Total up, it must be 100% or equal to 1. Then if that the case, then it's correct. So the last step, expected effective financing rate for the portfolio, which you get the joint probability, this one. Okay. Times with effective financing rate of the portfolio, your answer on top. This one. Yeah. So the first one, 9.82. Then you have second, 0.35. Okay, times with effecting EEFR for the portfolio. For second one, you get 11.7. Okay, times with, oops. Okay, then you will get the answer. For this one, based on my answer, you get 3.44%. Okay, and then this one, 4.10%. And then for this one, 0.15 times with, okay, number 3, 11.08. Okay, then you will get 1.66%, and then you do the rest for the last one. you will get 1.94%. Okay, and then you total up for this one, 3.44% plus 4.10%, and then plus 1.66 plus 1.94, then you will get 11.14%. So this is the answer for the questions for the portfolio. Okay, so altogether you will get this, yeah, starting from you find the individual effective financing rate, and then you do the pairing for this one, no calculation involved, just pair. And after you get the pair, you times with the pairing here with its own probability of the portfolio, where in this case Malaysian ringgit weightage 0.4, for the weightage for British pound 0.6. Do the same. Once you get this, another joint probability for another probability of outcome, do the second one. Remember, when you total up, it must be 0.1 equal to 1, or it means that 100%. So if suddenly you calculate then 0.99 or 0.97 or 883 something, meaning that you do the pairing wrongly. So do it again. Yeah. So once you get this, wherever you find the pair here, get the answer from the top, okay, and then do the rest until for second pair, third pair, and fourth pair, and then you total up all this, and then you will get 11.14%. Okay, is there any question? Okay, we are done. Is there any question, class? Yes, correct, 100%. I will well, for this one, yeah, class, for this one, okay, I will give you the the templates lah, so easy for you next time for you to do the pairing. But I will delete all this, so because if you want to refer the answer, you can refer back to the recording, isn't it? So to me, that it's okay lah. Yeah, I'll give you the quite empty this template, and then you can do the rest. So if there are any question next, for example during the tutorial class, so you can refer back to the template. Yeah, so I will upload later, so after the class. So no question. Okay, so if no question, so well, let me attach to your attendance for today. Hold on, your class. You can get the QR code from the chat box, because I tried to hold on, where to get this? Okay, hold on, your class. Let me figure it out. Okay, so refer to the chat box, and then I already uploaded the QR code, and then if no questions, so I think that's all for today. Thank you very much, and okay, you may leave. Make sure you sign the make sure you capture the QR code, yeah, for your attendance for today. Okay, you may leave. Thank you. Is there anything? Yes? No? Okay.
Oh my God, Tuan Miao.
You cannot see the QR code. Let me check.
Suy kỳ another phone.
Hello. 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 Let me check. Is it correct? I can see that. I have it on top. Oh, is it? Okay. Okay, relax. Let me share the QR code then, so you can capture. Okay. Is it because my internet connection? Okay, hold on, yeah. Let me figure out. It's still early anyway. Okay, let me share. Okay, if I share the screen, can you capture? Can someone respond to me, please? Is it okay now? Polika, can someone respond to me? Is it okay? Can. All right. Okay. Right. All right, Yameli. Thank you very much for today. All right. Bye bye. Take care. Since there is an issue with the let me upload that, or else I will wait then. Yeah. Okay. You're welcome. Bye bye.